I'm a physician. I have a medical degree. I trained in conventional medicine and spent years inside of that system, supporting the patients, doing what I was taught to do. And I found that medicine alone was just not enough, not for my patients, not for those women navigating their lives with no real map for the hormonal transitions, and not enough either, if I'm honest, for myself. So I went to find what was. And that's what this channel is about. That is what Women's Well is all about. And that's why I'm sitting here talking to you today. My name is Amy Marr, and I'm a doctor, an MD. I'm also a mother. I have a teenager, and I'm at the final stages of perimenopause. Those three things, clinician, mother, and woman in this midlife passage, are not separate identities. I hold in separate rooms. They are the same life, and they inform everything I do here. My colleague and co founder is Erica Kafka. She's a physician assistant, and she is exactly where many of you are right now. She's a mother of a 3-year old and a 4-year old. She's in the initial phases of perimenopause, both passages at full intensity at the same time. 10 years ago, I was exactly where Erica is now. Together, we hold the full arc. She's in the fire, and I'm a decade on the other side, still navigating the challenges of the last stages of perimenopause while raising a teenager. And we built Women's Well because we could not find anything that held all of it together. There are a lot of things that medicine gets right. I want to start with what medicine does know, because medicine knows a great deal. And anyone telling you otherwise is not doing you a service. What is happening in your body right now, if you're in your late 30s, 40s, or early 50s, is a profound neurological and hormonal transition. It is not a decline, it is a reorganization. The HPO axis, hypothalamic, pituitary, ovarian axis, is resetting. Estrogen, which your brain has been using as a primary signaling molecule for your entire adult life, is becoming variable. And a brain that is accustomed to a consistent cycle does not just quietly adjust, it responds. And that response is what most women experience as symptoms: brain fog, poor sleep, mood shifts, rage that seems out of proportion, and joint pain, heart palpitations, a sense that your nervous system is running on a different operating system than it was 6 months ago. These are not signs that something's wrong. These are signs that something significant is happening in you. The research on what we call matrescence, this psychological and neurological passage into motherhood, is less than 20 years old. The neuroscience of the maternal brain is really less than a decade old. The clinical understanding of the perimenopause brain is still being written. We are the first generation to experience the convergence of these two transitions in such magnitude. The first generation with the most women having babies later, so we can have it all. We are also the first generation to have this research. Our mothers did not have the research. Our grandmothers certainly did not. We are the first generation of women navigating these passages with this much knowledge available, and we are still doing it without a complete map. Here's what medicine did not prepare me for. It did not prepare me for the psychological dimension of this passage, the identity questions that go right alongside the physical ones, the sense that the woman you have been for the last 20 years is somehow no longer quite right. Not wrong, just no longer the full picture. Medicine did not give me a framework for that. It had no language for the way a woman's sense of self reorganizes in midlife, particularly while actively mothering. No map for what it means to be navigating intensive motherhood at the same time as the hormonal transitions occur. So I went looking, and I found a teacher, of Angeles Arrien, an anthropologist who spent decades studying what every indigenous wisdom tradition understood about human passages, about the moments in a life when everything is resetting. She had a framework called the Fourfold Way: the visionary, the teacher, the warrior, the healer. Four ways of being that every complete human life moves through. And when I read her work, I recognized something I had never seen named in any medical textbook. The passage I was watching my patients navigate, that I was navigating, was not a medical problem to be managed. It was an initiation. Then I found Clarissa Pinkola Estes, a Jungian analyst, a poet who had spent her life recovering the stories of women, the old stories, the ones held in folklore and myth before medicine existed, and understanding what those stories knew about this transformation that modern psychology was only beginning to articulate. I found the research on matrescence, Dana Raphael's original work from the 1970s, and the more recent clinical research that has begun to document what actually happens to a woman's brain, identity, and relational world when she becomes a mother. Work that most obstetricians have never read, work that was largely absent from my training. I found the neuroscience of the maternal brain, the way pregnancy and postpartum literally remodel the brain's architecture, and the way perimenopause asks for another remodel. Two neurological renovations at the same time in one lifetime. And I found that none of this was available inside conventional medicine. Not because medicine is bad, but because medicine is just not designed to hold the full human passage. It is designed to treat pathology. And what we are navigating, is not pathology. It's a becoming, it's a coming home. If you are watching this, I want to say something to you directly. You are probably somewhere in your late 30s, 40s, or 50s. You may be a mother of young children, teenagers, or tiny babies. You are navigating a body that feels like it's running on a different system than it was a few years ago. And you may also be navigating an identity that feels like it's quietly asking to be renegotiated. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are not just hormones. You are a woman at one of the most significant passages of her life, with more knowledge available to her than any generation of women before, and still doing it largely without a complete guide. We are the first, and we are figuring it out together. That is the historic claim I want to make carefully. Our mothers navigated perimenopause and motherhood, but they didn't have the research. They didn't have the research on the brain, on the hormones, on matrescence. They did it without the support of Angeles Arrien, of Clarissa Pinkola Estes. They did it on instinct and community and the cultural scripts available to them, most of which were deeply inadequate. We have something they didn't. And at Women's Well, we are building the map together as we walk it. Women's Well holds four things: clinical medicine, the science, the research, the evidence; feminine psychology, the identity dimension, the passage, the beliefs, the internal terrain; spiritual tradition, the wisdom frameworks, movement, breath work, ceremony, ritual, those things that have held women through initiation for thousands of years; and the stories of women, the old ones, the ones that knew something before medicine existed, and our own stories. We bring all of it into the same room. That is what this channel is. That is what our masterclass is. That is what our retreat is. If any of this is resonating, if you've been navigating this passage and feeling like you are missing something that nobody around you can quite name, if you're doing everything you can and still not feeling better, we have a free masterclass link below this video. It goes through the full picture, the clinical piece, the psychological piece, this map we have been building together with the women we serve. It is free. It's the real deal. And if you want to stay here in this channel, subscribe. There is more coming. New videos, meeting Erica, the research, the stories, all of it. Medicine and everything medicine forgot to include. Let's do this together.